Me this morning are three wonderful ladies from Sewa. I have Kavita, Vaibhavi, and Carole here. And today we are going to learn more about the work Sewa does in our community and focus on the importance of climate justice and why it should matter to all of us. And this is the first time we're actually talking about this topic. So I'm really looking forward to this hour and gaining a lot of knowledge, about climate justice. But before we begin and dive into all of that, I'd like each of you beautiful ladies to give a short introduction of yourself and let us know, tell our listeners what role you play in the organization. Kavita, I'll start off with you.
Okay, hi everyone. Hi friends. Lovely to be back. So my name is Kavita Tewary. I play the role of an executive director, but I have worn many hats at Sewa. This is my 10 plus year at Sewa, and it's just been an amazing journey of self-growth and serving the community. Passing it on to Carole.
Carole Juarez here. I've been with Sewa 7 years now, almost 7 years, and like Kavita, have worn many hats. And I think Kavita forgot to add that as we put on a new hat, we keep the old one on at the same time. So it's a wonderful journey to be with an organization that syncs up with our ideology for serving community.
Hi everyone, this is Vaibhavi Kotnis. I'm a newbie at Sewa. So I should say I want to get all the experience from these wonderful ladies here, but I have joined as a project manager for the new EPA project that you're going to talk about today. So it's a wonderful couple of months that I've been here, and once, like Carole said, you get one hat, you keep on the other one. So I am a project manager at the moment, but I guess donning all the other hats is going to be a wonderful experience here.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so Kavita, let's begin with a brief overview of Sewa.
So Sewa has been around for a while in the Houston area. I have been part of the team since 2013, but even before I joined, I was a volunteer for 2 years. I had a middle schooler. I would drag her along to get volunteer hours like most parents, summer especially. But, as the organization grew, its capacity to serve has expanded many-fold. We were incorporated in America in 2003. The Houston chapter came into existence as a loose group of like-minded people wanting to serve. Our first organized effort was to help the hurricane victims from Katrina. So I keep talking about that because, that was not a very strategic, okay, today we are going to launch the organization. It was more out of the compassion of the heart. When you see all these people who had just next to nothing to their name streaming in despair because they had lost everything that they ever had. And that included people from all different colors, faiths, communities. And that seriously struck a chord in all of our senior volunteers, like people who have been around for 20 plus years serving Houston. So we all got together, and I joined, of course, much later. But at that point when I came in 2012, 13 phase, we were getting a big stream of refugees from Bhutan. And that's where you saw what it meant to be a refugee in America, when you think that you have arrived and that's the end of the rainbow and the silver pot is there with all the goods. You realize you have just uprooted a set of people from whatever they knew for all their life, and now just thrown them in this situation where they are supposed to be grateful, but they don't even know how to comprehend what their new reality is. So that's how we felt very, very passionately about that there's a huge diaspora in Houston. And I'm talking more about Houston here because we were the first chapter in Sewa International USA. Currently, we have around 35 metro areas that have Sewa chapters. We have 4 metro areas like Bay Area, Atlanta, New Jersey, Houston that has federal grants. So they are big enough to handle federal grants. But it all started here in Houston, and the people in Houston have seen what it takes to grow an organization from grassroots level. We are an Indian American organization. Majority of our volunteers that have started the organization were Indian Americans who found America and Houston as their home. But it's now evolved to include so many nationalities. Our AmeriCorps members, our staff members speak more than, and Carole can add there, Carole, how many languages our people.
We have about 11 languages.
11 different languages, that many different cultures and nationalities. They're all part of Sewa team. We truly embody the Indian concept of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, which is one earth, one people, right? And this ties in with our topic today because our earth is not just the human beings, it includes the planet, its well-being, the flora, the fauna. Everything that exists here needs to be considered while we are growing as humanity, right? So that's the concept, and that I think has a universal appeal. We have a lot of support from the city of Houston. All the council members work with us. They have come out and done tree plantations with us, food drives with us, whether they have, it was a disaster area during Hurricane Harvey, where more than 2,000 volunteers went around Houston doing repair, rebuild, rescue. It's just heartwarming, the kind of work we were able to contribute to. And nobody wants a disaster to happen, but if, God forbid, something happens, Sewa is there. And when I say Indian American, a lot of people, everybody knows how to call FEMA or the police department or whoever, but a lot of our immigrant families feel very intimidated by the website, by the protocol, by the know-how and how to reach for help in situations which are out of their handle, that they can handle. But because of the cultural similarity, it's very easy for them to say, you know what, I'll pick up the phone and talk to someone who can speak my language, who understands my cultural requirements, right? So yeah, that's what Sewa is. Sewa is one big family. And our mission is to serve our community wherever we are. And that means Houston. We all believe it's my neighborhood. My neighbors should be okay. My neighborhood should be okay. My community should be okay. We very strongly believe that we do not want, yes, we support our home country, India. That's always in our heart. I'm just returned from a 3-week vacation. My heart beats for India too. But I feel very strongly that whatever we have gotten from this country, we need to put it right back here.
Yes.
Yes, do your charity work in India, send stuff, send helps. There are disasters in India that really call out to us, and we have done our bit. When India was suffering during COVID, HEB, Senior Energy, they were the big corporations that built oxygen plants. HEB sponsored 2 oxygen plants that supplied 2 major rural hospitals that were part of the rural India. And people were dying in India because of lack of oxygen during COVID. What motivated them to come to Houston and come to us as Sewa International was because we have the last mile delivery guaranteed. We make sure that if you give us money, what it is given for, it ends up being for that goal. And when it comes to disaster, we do not keep a single penny out of your donation. So when there's a disaster, if you donate $100 to us, all 100 goes to the client. When in normal circumstances, blue sky, as Carole calls it, if you give us a donation, only 6% goes to admin costs. That's why we have a very lean team. We work very hard, and it's a lot of love and passion for the work we do. All right, that's Sewa for you, Lynn.
That's amazing work. We actually even got, I'm just thinking way back, we Chai Time Girls got a chance to kind of be a small part of doing the volunteer work. And it was quite an eye-opener, and getting our kids there as well. The planting, and my sister loves gardening, so she was so involved in all of that. And just the cleanup, and even helping to clean up the
families.
houses. It was, and then they have this beautiful temple, so we really got to see the culture.
The Buddhist temple.
And it was so nice.
And the beauty of what Sewa does is we don't go into a community and exit. So we have 3 apartment community centers. The oldest was started in 2013. We still exist. And a lot of organizations have come and gone. They come in, not making enough money. I don't know what the motivation is to begin with, but if you are coming in a community, you can't just quit on them one day. There are kids who are relying on you, there are families who look forward to your involvement in their day-to-day existence and their prosperity. We don't exit. So Rasharan, our volunteers, Achalesh will still go there, Rashmi will still go there, and they will stay engaged. Hey, you had COVID, which happened So Harvey was 2017, COVID happened in 2020. So we were there with the vaccinations and whatever. Our last home that was being rebuilt was completed in 2020.
2020.
So you see the longevity of involvement is what we really want to commit to that. We're not a fly-by-night operator. We don't want to just, Ailey ISD, for example, 2013 is when our first program happened, and we are still continuing, and the involvement has deepened, and Carole will talk more to that.
I just want to add, you can see the passion that everybody at Sewa has. Once she started talking, she cannot that passion.
Sorry.
I just love the passion that she has, and if she's such a talented person, but there could be so many other avenues that she could go to, but the passion with which she wants to work for Sewa has continued.
And I think
that speaks so much for the organization and how amazing it is.
I have Kavita come to our links, and she's there from open to close.
Yeah, probably. I love hanging out with you, so that would be
we have such great talks. Irfan and I, and we learned so much from her as
each
well.
other,
From each other.
You guys
the conversations just keep flowing, right?
Yeah. We are for a quick dinner or lunch, and it becomes a 2 hour.
And we laugh a lot. So
everybody at Sewa is passionate. So when she said the longevity, it's, I guess, that's how, because you feel so much, and unless you feel for it, I don't think you would want to do something for it.
And I think that the idea behind it, the passion's important because it's what inspires you, but also the responsibility.
Yes.
When we go into a project, we're assuming that responsibility because we choose to, and if you have a child, you're going to raise that child until it's an adult, to a logical conclusion.
They go and make their own money.
Right. Well, basically, right? That's the commitment that the organization has to these communities, that we are not just going in to address one thing or to show what we can do with money that's been donated, but because we care about the end goal. And that end goal may be a year from now, it could be 20 years from now, and we're there for the long haul. And I think that's important.
Yes, and it's also good to see the kids, Kavita's own children involved in Sewa, and I know so many other people who work in Sewa, who volunteer or work there, their kids follow too, and they do it for years to come. So, that is just a continuation.
It changes you fundamentally as a person.
Right.
And that goes for all service organizations. Sewa is not exclusive in that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Anywhere, no matter who that organization is you want to give your time with, it will change you fundamentally from inside. Your entire, the way the point of view that you have in life shifts. There's a higher purpose in that for sure.
Yeah. So let's talk about what's going on with Sewa. Is anything new, Carole?
Oh, there's something new every single day. So Sewa has grown as an organization, and there has always been a larger vision. There's that every day something's going on, but there's a large vision for what we want to accomplish. And the Aspire After School Centers, which Kavita briefly mentioned, were the beginning of our forays in a more formal sense into the community. And they were after school centers based in apartment complexes that served the community in that apartment complex, 2,000 to 2,500 people. What we realized was that providing all the academic support for these children ages 5 to 10, academic support, enrichment activities, social emotional learning, mentoring were great. But these children went home to environments that were unstable, not through anyone's fault, but because of the existential challenges that these families in low to moderate income neighborhoods face. And as a result of that, they were having to deal with food insecurity and shelter insecurity. And what we realized was that in order to serve the child fully, we needed to be able to serve the entire family, the whole child, if you will. And what we have been able to do is to convert those Aspire after-school centers into Aspire community centers. And each of those centers, there's 3 of them at this time, serve about, as I said, 2,000 to 2,500 people, about 500 families apiece. And they address what we refer to as all the social determinants for individual well-being. What does that mean? Well, it's the optimal goal is for that individual to be well, literally. What it takes is that we want to address their mental health, their physical health, their job permanence.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that most of these communities lack English language proficiency, and so make sure that we're providing literacy for adults as well as English as a second language. We address the issues of basic needs case management, so food security, shelter security, rent assistance, utilities, and so forth. We also have a cohort that addresses disaster preparedness. We live in a city that is besieged by one emergency or disaster after another, and we'll touch more on that when Vaibhavi goes into talking about our climate justice project. But the environment affects that, and so we have to touch upon it. And we also have an engagement in the schools. We're at both Fort Bend and at Alief ISD providing intervention for children who are in 9th through 12th grades. The assistance that is being provided is a little bit different at both ISDs, but essentially we're working with children who are from many different cultures, speaking many different languages, at different levels of English proficiency. And so in one program, they are trying to get them up to a point where they can communicate fully. And the other district, they're already mainstreamed, but still need assistance. If you're not clear about some of your vocabulary in English, it's hard to understand a math word problem, right? So they're there in the biology class, in the history class, in the math class, assisting them through the language avenue. And it extends our commitment across the entire city and into Fort Bend, into all through Harris County. We work with support from major medical, like HCA, and the Memorial Hermann Southwest. We provide clinics for community members.
IDA does a great job with that.
Right.
Indian Doctors Association.
Also, that's correct. That we just recently had one. So they address all the health issues. We have mental health as a mental health first aid approach. So being able to address what the community can address to prevent it from getting overwhelming, and then we have the job readiness courses are really important because they prepare them for jobs, they give them skills, and help them to engage in, now you can't apply for a job without internet access. Yeah. And so we're providing them with internet access in our center so that they can apply for positions, guiding them through interview skills and so forth. Our approach as an organization has always been to meet the community where it's at. And a lot of people will say that, and they mean it in a philosophical way. But Sewa specializes in quite literally meeting the community where it's at physically. There's no lobby for the Sewa office. We go to the person's door and we knock on it, and when they open, we say, "How can we serve you?" Having programs that we are now getting federal grants that provide us with personnel to expand the footprint of the organization allows us to knock on more doors. And just as an example, not so recent, but I think no less impacting, and that is that during COVID, in 4 months, the first 4 months when the vaccines first came out, our members, there were 6 of them, in 4 months registered and saw through to the second vaccine more than 6,000 individuals in Southwest Houston in a partnership with Memorial Hermann, but they were directly responsible. And then after that, we connected with providers who had the capacity to accompany us, literally knocking on doors and saying, hello, would you like a vaccine? And vaccines were being given in
So you have no excuse.
doorsteps.
So the
there's-
barriers that our families see is they don't have transportation. They are working 2 shifts. When do they have the time to do this additional thing that they need to do, right?
That's right. That's right. We want to eliminate those challenges so that we, people will say, well, people should pull themselves up by their bootstraps. And this may be true, but you have to provide the bootstraps. Because if you don't have them, what are you going to pull yourself up by? And that's what we try to do, provide those tools that will allow individuals to then use their autonomy to move forward.
And a lot of people don't have the agency.
Right.
They do not have the agency.
That's right.
So sometimes you are the only person, and it's not that Sewa is doing it for every single person around here. But a lot of time, grassroots organizations provide that agency when there is no one. At least there's one person, one contact, one
That's right.
friend that can become the change that you are looking for, or the help. A lot of organizations do it. I see they are doing it a lot in the mental health and domestic violence space. Sewa does it in disasters, education.
Actually, on that note, I do have, sorry to interrupt, but I do have a question
Yes.
from one of our listeners. Does Sewa have any partner organization they work with?
We have many partner organizations. We work with the U.S. Office of Refugee Resettlement. We work with HCA. So we have corporate, we have non-governmental and government offices. We are HCA, Centerpoint. Who else? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. The school districts, Red Cross, Fort Bend County, Harris
George's
County.
office.
Yeah.
We, for the project, I'm sorry to interrupt,
Yes.
but for the project that we have 5 partners organizations
That's right.
that I'll be talking about later. So
Yeah.
they are helping us in any which way they can.
So our tagline is "Together we serve better."
Yes.
There is no way I can
That's
do.
right. That's
If
right.
there's someone else who's doing it better, bring them along.
Yeah.
Bring them along your side.
That's
Because
right.
I think the impact you create and the community you create around you when you bring others along in this journey is way more impactful than being on your own.
Going to that point of meeting the community where it's at, we are engaged in conversation with the Houston Mayor's Office regarding disaster preparedness for children, which we excel at, I might add, and they are unable to connect with the communities that we are able to connect with. And so it's easier for them to share availability of venues or audiences that need this support. Share it with us because we can more easily get there. So those partnerships are really important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. I got the cue. We're going to go on a short break, and when we return, we will continue our conversation. This is Chai Time, 103.5 Hum FM. Welcome back to Chai Time on 103.5 Hum FM. I am in conversation with Kavita, Vaibhavi, and Carole, and it's just been such an awesome conversation, and we have still so much to cover. And, we have been talking about Sewa and all the services they provide and the programs they have. But I really want to jump into climate justice. And I want to say I'm so happy and blessed that I met Kavita, because Kavita has introduced me to so many different things that Sewa does. And one of the things she had recently was the Influencer Summit. And that's where I got to know more about the climate change and got to meet the guest speakers and listen to them and how important that was. We touched many other aspects as well, but climate justice is one of the one of the main important topics that was discussed. So, Kavita, I'd like to ask you this: what is a climate justice, and why is it important to address these issues?
So we all know that we are living in this time of global warming, and depending on which aisle of your political belief, you may or may not believe it, but it is hot. It's hot, and it's just inclement weather. Like there's a very there are very many aspects of climate justice. So you might have hurricanes, you'll have extreme heat, extreme cold. So whenever these things happen, you are impacted by it. Everybody is, right? But I and you are fortunately coming from that privilege that we have resources to mitigate those impacts. Case in point, I was just in India. It was scorching hot. New Delhi was 54 on one of the days I was there, centigrade. Okay? It was equivalent to maybe 125 degrees Fahrenheit. And I have been, I was in India for the longest, like half my life I've spent there, but I've never seen such horrible temperatures, right? And then you're out and about in an AC car, in your AC bedrooms, your everything air conditioned, and you're kind of, creating this bubble around you, which is safe and comfortable. But there are many people right outside of your car who are struggling. Here in Houston, sometimes people have access to cooling shelters, but sometimes they don't, right? So anytime there is extreme situations in weather, whether it's hurricane, in Hurricane Harvey, communities that were living on the borderline poverty level, minimum wages were the worst impacted, right? You don't have the agency, the know-how, the preparedness element. You don't have the access to a hire car or a car. How do you avoid or evacuate? So when things happen in climate which are extreme, there is people, the lower income families are impacted the most. And then this concept of climate justice is that, yes, you live in Houston, everybody is living in Houston, but Houston has a lot of disparity in how people are living. Case in point, A-Leaf, right? Where we are going to be implying, working on this project. It's a concrete surrounded community, and Vaibhavi is going to elaborate more on it. They are hotter than Houston. So they're 10 degrees hotter than downtown Houston, or if you're living in the Memorial area. They are really, really hot. How can we let this happen in the world's most prosperous country, that we have people who are just having two realities? It's not okay. And that's why the EPA and the Environmental Protection Agency has brought this funding stream, this concept of having equality as to your living experience. Climate justice is a huge part of that.
Okay. And so why Sewa in the environment space?
Well, we are from India, Indian American agency. You all have grown up seeing chai sold on the Indian railway stations in little cups made of mud. How sustainable was that? You all have seen the culture of, being reverent towards your mountains, your trees. Your moms and dads had green practices. We are a nation that was sustainable, but with industrialization and easy access, or it's easy to put out a foam plate, we have created this huge imbalance where at one point we're abusing the environment, at the other point we are also taking away livelihood from people who were doing sustainable things. So I don't know if you all have had experience in my grandparents' village. When there was a wedding, you would have paper plates you would have plates which were made from dried leaves, sewn dried leaves. So they would use bamboo sticks to sew them. It was a fully functional plate without any leak, without any problems. You could have a meal on it, crush it, dispose it, biodegradable. So we believe that, like how Carole was mentioning, that there are many elements to making your a person successful in life, so there are 5 determinants. One of those determinants was your environment. So if you're addressing their health, they're addressing their education, their livelihood, the community health piece, you cannot leave the environment,
Right.
because you are a product of your environment.
Yeah,
So that's why we really wanted intentionally to go in that direction. Carole was actually very instrumental in, like, Kavita, this is missing. We need to do this. We are missing that one piece that has been mandated.
Well, and you can keep with anything that happens. You can come back to climate.
Right.
Someone loses their job, and if you trace it back, it's very possible it was a hurricane. Very possible that it was a storm, and everything froze, and they couldn't work there, or their construction had to stop because of all the rains. These happenings, these events, impact us on a
Community
daily
health, for
basis.
example, if you're living in an environment which has got too
Polluted.
much pollution, you see all these refineries in Houston. We are the oil capital of the United
Yes.
States, but the percentage of cancer in those communities living by these refineries is just out of this world. So you are polluting the groundwater, you are polluting the breathing air. So justice has to be done to those communities. We can't walk away from that responsibility. Yes, it will come at a cost. It will be a little more expensive for you to get gas, but it's okay. I think civil society should take that burden on in order to be having that, that equal living experience. We are all human beings.
And I think if we learned anything from COVID, it's that if you have a line, here, there's 4 of us here in a row. If Kavita's okay, if Vaibhavi's okay, if Lynn is okay, I'm probably going to be okay too.
Yeah.
And so if I make myself responsible for their well-being, and they, in a reciprocative
One
manner,
world.
do the same thing,
Yeah. One world.
we all end up being okay.
Right.
And so we have to look out for each other.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's talk about the EPA grant. Let's first, what is EPA grant?
So as Kavita mentioned, the A-leaf area is 10 degrees higher than the rest of Houston. So this was a survey done by HARP, which monitors the air pollution in the area. So like she said, the HARC organization came to Sewa. Sewa did its groundwork, and this was the missing piece in our puzzle. So, we need to do something. So we worked on it, and Sewa received a grant from the government to plant about 1,000 trees in the Elif area. This was because they realized that this area per se has a very less tree canopy. So that is why the temperatures are high. So at the moment, with the grant that we have received, is to plant trees with watercolors. These watercolors are going to make sure that there is no water seepage, and you would have to water the plants lesser than if they weren't used. Now, if you ask me, okay, fine, it's going to reduce the temperature. So what? I mean, it's going to be nice. It's going to be cooler. It's going to be as per the Houston standards. But when you plant trees, it just aesthetically, the entire area looks nice.
Okay.
That being said, the price values of the houses increase. The pollution in the air goes down because it's like more oxygen to breathe. So, it's the overall well-being of everybody living in the area gets enhanced. So that is one thing that we are planning to do. But when you do such an mammoth task, it cannot be done by an organization. I mean, we have all the know-how, the knowledge that the government has provided us, but we are going to need other organizations. So at the moment, we've partnered with 5 organizations. One is the Houston Council, because yes, you need government support when you're planting all these trees. We have partnered with the Elif Super Neighborhood people. They are the people who have, they work towards community betterment in the Elif area. We have the International Management District. Now, they are the ones who are going to be our water partners, because we want the trees, we want the betterment, but we want to make sure that the trees survive.
Yeah,
because the sustainability is the most important thing. Then once everything is done, we want to make sure that this is not like a one-off thing. So we want the Elif ISD kids to participate in that. So we are partnering with Elif ISD as well. And we are also partnering with an organization called as IC Change. It's a New Orleans-based organization. So what they do is they put on sensors in areas just to show that, hey, today the temperature was so much. In the past, on the same day, the temperature was so much. So we will know that whatever work we are doing, is it actually helping us? Because if that's not done, then, we doing all this is not going to be helpful.
Right.
And the reason why I said we are going to partner with ELIF and all these organizations, we want everybody in the area, be it the businessmen, be it the school district, be it communities, everybody to help out. Because like Carole said earlier, we knock on the door and ask people, do you want help? So we want people's mindset to be changed, because we want everybody to realize that planting one tree can do a whole lot of, difference to the surroundings that you have, to the atmosphere. We just want to make sure that we leave a better tomorrow for our next generations to come. So that is why we are going to need a lot of help from different organizations around the area to help out.
Okay.
I think that when you talk about the term of climate justice, and what's a perfect example with ALEAF is that you have a community that is, they take a lot of buses, they
Yeah.
travel by bus, they're walking places.
Right.
And because of the income levels, they're relying on public transportation. So now they're in an area that is 10 degrees hotter.
Yeah.
In June, July, August, well, now it's like all year round until the freeze. But with these high temperatures, having to take the bus in where it's a lot hotter than it is, and other people are traveling in their air-conditioned vehicles that doesn't force them to be exposed to the elements.
Right.
That's the justice piece.
No, and even if you realize you're sitting in the bus, which is air conditioned,
Yes.
then you get off the bus and you're walking.
That's
so just for yourself,
Yes.
your body, to change the temperature from being like 70 degrees in the bus and to 110 degrees outside,
That's right.
you fall ill
That's right.
a lot. So
That's right.
Yeah,
So-
and one thing that you talked about the Influences Summit, and
Yes.
we do that just to create a buzz around the burning topics of the day, right? One of the feedbacks that Meredith Jennings, who was a
Yes.
speaker on this specific topic, she, by the way, is the fantastic lady. You should connect with her if you can and I'll definitely invite her to come to your show one day in
Sure,
Lynn.
yeah.
She's the data center from where all this. So we go, Carole and I go to Ely very often, and I have never realized that this was 10 degrees hotter than just my neighborhood. So to be living and someone to shine a light on, see, this is happening right under your nose and don't even realize.
Yeah.
Because you and I are just dashing in and out of buildings.
That's right.
You're not doing the walking. So the Sanjay Ramabhadran, who was the ex-Metro chief, he mentioned that the people are not getting on the buses. So the government is giving resources to these communities who need this public transport to get to their work, but they're not going in the buses because it's so damn hot to wait in the blazing sun. So what's the point? So you're defeating, unless you start thinking from the bottom-up approach,
right.
like, is it okay to be standing there in that heat? Do you have any canopy, or do you have a coverage? So now I think Metro, these questions were raised in his tenure, and I think now the mayor's office is going to address those things. But one simple thing that Meredith had mentioned that all of us can do is to
Yes.
plant native trees and native bushes in your house.
In your house.
You have full authority on
That's
your
right.
garden
That's right.
and your
Yes.
yard. You can make that small change in your own backyard by planting native Texas plants that do not need too much
I
water.
think that's exactly what you're answering is one of the questions that a listener asked is what can an individual or as a community do for climate justice or change? And that's exactly what you're referring
that's
to
your
right
own
now.
background, but also, Carole, talking
Helping
about,
to advocate.
Yes.
Advocacy is really important. Contacting your senators, contacting your congress people, your council members.
and even your friendly nonprofits.
Your nonprofits, your HOA.
Talk to your
Talk
nonprofit.
to your nonprofits.
Even, for example, someone who's not working in the space of environment or not associated with the arboretum or
That's right.
whatever, you can ask, if we are doing 5 trips to the Houston Food Bank as a group to volunteer, can we change that, make it 4 trips to the Houston Food Bank, donate 1 weekend to go and plant some trees?
That's right.
Memorial Harmon is doing that every Saturday.
That's right.
So why
And
not, right?
With this grant, they are planting trees, and they will need volunteers.
Yeah, so what we are going to need is, like I said, a big task cannot be done by just the organizations or just people at Sewa. We need volunteers to do this. So you can participate in planting the trees because that's what it's all about. But if you can't do that, you cannot go outside and plant a tree. By the way, we plan to start planting the trees in fall, so we are going to need a lot of people.
Cooler weather.
Yeah,
Guys.
yeah.
It's going to be easy.
Yeah. So if you can't personally come and volunteer, what can you do? You can have your friends, your neighbors, your kids, everybody. You can sign them up. You can tell them. You can advertise. Oh, you know what? I can't go, but you can make it. So please go there. You can have, so like I said, IC Change is going to plant these measures under trees, this thermometers to measure the temperature. What you can do is, we need volunteers to make sure that the thermometer readings are given to us so that we can see. So you can, so then age is not a barrier, because you just have to go there, take the reading and come back to us. So that you can do. If you can't even do that, if you are a student but feel highly for the, for the cause.
I think our young kids are more in tune with the environment than us.
True.
right.
Yeah. So true. I see that.
So, but if there is somebody now, for example, her kids, they are not here, but they truly feel for the environment, but they are somewhere outside the city. What can they do? You know what? Advertise for our events. Advertise, spread the word.
Just magnify the message very easily.
And we need, so to complete this whole process, we need like younger kids. It's their mindset that needs to be changed. So we plan to do a lot of workshops, a lot of outreach programs. So you can have, go to door each and every neighborhood. Ask them, you know what, there is a workshop that's going. So we basically want to change the mindset that planting one tree also is going to make a difference. We don't want people to say, oh, I'm just not planting one tree. How much difference is it going to make? We want to change that mindset. I'm planting one tree, and yes, that's going to make a difference. Yeah. So
Imagine in a city like Houston, if all 4 million planted one tree.
One tree.
Yes, I know.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah. It is funny. We were in Baton Rouge last weekend, and we were visiting friends, and I was telling them about the project, and he was like, you know what? I love plantation so much. I'm not a part of your organization, but it would be so nice that, if you could give me an open land where I could plant like acres of plants myself. So even though you're not a part of the organization, though we know we have a grant, but if you are not in the area, but you are somewhere else and you need our help, or you need to come and help us, we are open to everything.
So what she's alluding to is that the grant specifically targets A-Leaf, because that's the burning spot in the city. And that's obviously, I think 60 to 70%, maybe 80 or 90% of the kids we serve are below poverty line.
Yeah.
So that's really an underprivileged area. But if you're living in Missouri City, that's not part of a grant. But if you have an area in Richmond or any part of Houston you feel that's underserved, that has the same challenge as A-Leaf has, and if you are passionate about doing this, we can come and share with you our know-how, bring our volunteers, and help you make your part of the city green.
That's right.
Another quick question was, how do you sign up to volunteer for such projects? Do they have a contact? Or
Yes, so
and when?
So that's what I was coming to. Yes, you can volunteer in any which way you want. We have a Sewa helpline number, which is 281-909-SEWA. 281-909-SEWA. So you can contact us, sign up. You can go to our website, sewausa.org. There is also an volunteering sign up link that you can sign up. We need volunteers throughout the year for our different projects. So it's not just this. We have other projects that we have. We need volunteers. We need, it's something like we need all hands on deck.
Yes.
So we need all hands in Houston on deck for all our projects. Yeah, so you can volunteer.
So Carole, how can the community get involved with
Well,
Sewa?
there are so many ways to get involved. The first one that I would put out there is our AmeriCorps program, which supports mental health, community health, all of these programs that we have, disaster preparedness. It's a government program, a federal program, kind of like a domestic Peace Corps. And they go into communities and serve in our program, they serve for 10 months and they receive a stipend. Our positions are half-time, so that means that they serve about 25 hours a week and they get a stipend at the end of 10 months. It's dispersed equally over each month during the program. And then at the end of it, they also get an academic award. So it's a scholarship that is very versatile and has a high applicability. This puts you, it's like having military service on your record. You have served the nation through your community service, and it's an important program to join. We also have our SELF program, which is focused on the well-being of the individual. And that addresses your eating, your sleeping, your lifestyle, and your living in the present. Yes. And so there are monthly events for seniors, for adults between 18 and 60, for children under that age of 18. Very popular, gets lots of involvement every month. People can participate in that. More than anything, with the EPA, they can, the grant, as Vaibhavi has indicated, there are, you can spread the word for anything
Levels
that
of
we do.
engagement, yeah.
It can provide you just hooking up with the Sewa sites on Instagram, on Facebook, and sharing our posts is a huge help because it helps to get the word out.
I just forgot to add, I know volunteers is all we ask for, but sometimes we fall short of money too. So if you can't help physically being on the ground, you can also donate to donate to our organization. Every little dollar counts. So.
And you can adopt a program. So if you like, if
that's
you want to
nice.
plant, if your passion's about trees, donate to
trees.
that. If your passion is about children and their enrichment, the Aspire program. If you have a close experience with mental health challenges, you might want to adopt that program. So there are lots of ways that you can really personalize your monetary engagement with the organization.
Wow, what a great way to wrap up. We could still continue, actually.
Yes,
There's so
I
much
feel,
more to
yeah.
talk about, right? But I'll definitely have you back on Chai Time for
Sounds
sure.
good.
Thank you,
Thank
Liz.
you so much, ladies.
Thank you.
for all the work y'all do for our community. We truly appreciate it. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in to Chai Time. And we shall see you again, same time next
Can I
week.
say thank you to you, Liz?
Yes.
And to Alethea
yes.
and all our lovely Chai Time girls. You know, you guys, what you do is really, truly remarkable. Such a niche to be able to give a platform to so many
Yes.
people. And I do know you do this without any self gains or goals.
Yes.
So thank you so
Thank
much.
you for
Thank you.
spreading the word of
Helping
our
spread the word.
organization and everything
That's
that
right.
we do.
Yeah.
That's
Like
right.
you
so
said,
much.
Kavita, together we can serve better.
There you
Together
go.
we do better.
Yes.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you
mean,
so
y'all
much.
are really, an inspiration, and we every time we do a show, we get inspired by
Good.
the work and
Aw,
everything.
thank you.
All
Thank
the
you.
organizing.
Feeling
you.
is very mutual.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you, listeners. We shall see you next week, same time, same place. Signing off. Chai Time, 103.5 Hum FM.